I'm Bri.
I'm Jacqueline.
And we're creating a community of women leaders who are becoming their most confident, creative, and purposeful selves.
Long ago, we realized that society's playbook didn't work for us. So we created the Modern Woman Show, where we go against the grain, live expansive lives, and create our own playbook.
So come on, be different with us. Welcome back. It's our final episode on Modern Woman Show Season 2, and we are so happy you are here with us. We are talking about purpose. And I don't know about you, Jacqueline, but purpose has been a huge word, especially when I think of our community and especially when you think of women, right? Like I feel like it's been a lifelong process of me trying to find my purpose. And that's been super marketed to us as women, is find your purpose. And when you do, all the goodness will come.
All your problems will go away.
All your problems will go away. Yes, like everything will fit and it'll feel perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But with purpose, I mean, for me, I feel like, I Googled the definition of purpose just out of
I'm sure
curiosity.
you're not the first person to do that.
Yeah. Like, right. I mean, you Google a lot of things, but according to Google, purpose is the reason in which something is done, or like there's an intended end or goal. But when you think about purpose and how it's marketed to us as women, it's like what we're meant to do. It's like this one thing that we're meant to do and we're put on this earth to do. And when you think about both of those two things, like the definition of what purpose is and how it's marketed to us, they don't really align.
Mm-hmm.
Like those two things to me are like don't make sense at all. Like in the definition, there's this end, but in the marketing, it's like a lifelong search. Like basically it kind of is marketed as like this one thing and then you're done. And to me, purpose is ever flowing. Purpose is evolving. It grows with us where, it changes and it moves. And to me, I feel like purpose is intentionality. It's why we do the things we do, right? If you look at the definition, it's like something that we're intended to do, like why we do something, which we do that all the time as women.
Right.
And so it's interesting how so many women are like searching for purpose. I understand because of how it's marketed to us, but we're actually doing it every day.
Totally. Yeah. And I think you bring up a great point. I mean, purpose, when you look at it just in general, I think you're looking at kind of two different aspects of purpose. So there's like purpose of your life and your life theme, which I can't wait to talk more about. And there's also the purpose behind why you're doing something. Mm-hmm. And that relates to intention. We know it's not the same exact thing, but when you add purpose to an endeavor, maybe you join a fundraiser because you want to impact the world in a good way and bring resources behind it. And so you know that what you're doing is really important and leads to the greater good of other people and others' welfare. Therefore, you have this like great purpose behind these actions that you're doing, whether or not you love the actions that you're doing, if that makes sense. Like purpose of an endeavor and then purpose in your life. And those two things can very well go hand in hand. Most of the time they do, but they don't have to.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's like when people aren't feeling like they have a purpose, it's because in my opinion, it's because we haven't taken the time to ask ourselves why. If you are someone who is going through life feeling like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing? I would challenge you to ask yourself why you're showing up the way you are. Why do you work for the company that you do? Why are you with the person in your partner? Ask yourself those questions, why? And if your actions are aligned with, who you want to be in life or where you want to go or what lights you up, then that's it. The reason why you're not feeling purposeful is because your actions aren't aligned with who you want to be and why you want to show up in the morning. And so when you start aligning your actions more with your why, I think that's when you start feeling purpose.
100%. Oh yeah. Cognitive dissonance will cut your purpose right in half in a minute.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And I sometimes, thinking about where we are now, I forget that I used to not have purpose behind all my actions, and everything
Right.
wasn't intentional, and there, wasn't that complete alignment. And so when I think about purpose, I also think about something that I've discovered in the last, I don't know, 3 years, which relates to purpose, and it's life theme. And that is something that I found while I started studying human design. But basically, life theme, everybody has a life theme. And a life theme really, the shorthand is the theme or the essence of who you are that defines your character, your personality, your talents, your strengths. And so often people think that purpose is like, oh, my purpose here is to do this one thing, like you said, but it's actually the essence or the fragrance of your life as it unfolds. And as you determine what your gifts and talents are and start to share them for the greater good. There's 3 types of life themes. Again, you can find your life theme in your human design. And then there are so many resources to decode what that is, because it's kind of in code when you first read it. But there's 3 types of life themes. There's the personal, which is I'm here basically to grow and learn, and everybody is, but these people are really here to grow and learn for themselves. There's the fixed life theme, which is, it's very, very rare that somebody has a fixed life theme, but basically they uphold the, attitudes and rules of a certain era within their life and are really like a stronghold for the rest of us. And then the 3rd type of life theme is an interpersonal life theme. And they're really here to come as guides and teachers and those who act as kind of mentors to help the others grow. And so, there are 3 types, but the number of life themes is vast. And once I determined what mine was, I was like, that's very cool. And that really explains why I do a lot of the things that I do, especially in the corporate world. But it isn't like my purpose. I can use that life theme, my essence, my character, my personality, and do so many different things with it.
I love that you said that, because it when we think of, there was actually a recent study that was done, and it was a part of the retirement community, and it showed that 80% of women feel no sense of purpose the second that they stop working. And I love that you just talked about that, because 80% of women, like, that's a lot of women. And it's because work is so correlated with purpose in society, right? That's how it's marketed, that's how it's taught to us, is your purpose is how you serve and how you make money. And that's why I love that you just said that it's not like, purpose is why you do what you do. And that can be applied to so many different things. And I think if you learn that, that would be life-changing to the retirement community, or to women of all ages and all over the world and all different scopes of life, to understand that, yeah, you're living purposefully every day. And it's just why you show up. It's not this one thing that keeps the world spinning. It's your why.
Right. Exactly. It's also what you're naturally good at, your natural gifts and talents, and combining that with a mission, using them for some sort of mission. I'm not trying to get too buzzwordy, but basically what you do with it.
Sure.
And when you combine those, that's purpose. Sometimes people call it Dharma, and there's so many, studies on Dharma, and Jay Shetty writes about Dharma, and Robin Sharma writes about Dharma. So many awesome. I love all the work on Dharma, but it really is like what comes naturally to you. And when I do coaching work and talk to people about what comes naturally to them, like, oh yeah, they shove it off. I'm like, but no, like I'm telling you this, and it may seem like common sense to you, but I'm telling you, that's not everybody's gift. Like, I'm not good at that. I would love to know how to do that. And that just, you can do it in your sleep. And they're like, Oh, I didn't think of it that way. I'm like, so how do you use that in life? Sometimes people use it to make money. Sometimes people don't use it to make money. It's not about the making money with it. It's about what you do with it. Now, a lot of times people do like to pull together their dharma with their career. And for some people, that's very correct. And a lot of people spend a lot of time at work. So they want to be, when you are living in your dharma, you're naturally satisfied. And so it makes sense that you want to be satisfied while at work. And career, it's so interesting how career isn't purpose for a lot of ways, but in some cases it is. And it's, I don't know, that's really interesting and can get really complicated. But basically, if you're using your gifts a good amount inside of anything you do, including career, then you're going to be naturally satisfied. But also when it comes to purpose, I think about purpose as the realization of our gifts and the application of those over a long period of time. Because you may be good at one thing, but then you have a hard day. And so you're like, I don't really feel like doing that one thing anymore, or today, or for the next couple of weeks. And this may be a simple example, but when you consistently show up using your gifts and talents, apply them over the long period, over the long haul for the purpose, for the mission or whatever that you set forth, it's like, then your purpose becomes very obvious. And that's what pulls you out of bed and onto the field every day.
Absolutely. When you feel purposeful, when that feels genuine to you, then discipline also becomes a little easier, right? And I know discipline is all about showing up, consistently and having that accountability. But when you are showing up genuinely and based on your definition of why, rather than any external influence or reasoning that isn't your own, then you're also able to show up more consistently. And it doesn't feel like you're putting out more energy, because it also, like you said, is your natural gift.
Exactly. And then when I think of purpose, a lot of the things that we hear in the media, and I think in the coaching world of coaching, I hear, go find your purpose. And it almost sounds like it's treated as a problem to be solved.
Right.
But the actual application of finding purpose, it's like, what if we treated life as like a mystery to be lived?
Oh, I love that.
And that resonates with me, because I was actually talking to my coach this week, and I was like, I am clear one moment and unclear the next. I'm like, the main things are in focus, but how I'm going about it is always kind of like this. She's like, yeah, that's the point. Right. I'm always clear and then unclear in the same second.
Right.
Because it's a mystery. It's a mystery to be lived.
Right. And it's not about, that makes me think of the whole mindset too, of it's not about eliminating the bad. It's not about eliminating those moments when you're unclear. Like, the point of living a happy and successful and purposeful life isn't having all the answers. It's letting yourself figure them out, experimenting, and, learning more about yourself in that process.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we get questions around purpose, like, how do you find your purpose, or how do you show up every day, or how do you anything? And I think that's one of the reasons why we made purpose a core value of our company and the show, is because it's really what drives us, and not from like behind. It's not like the engine. It pulls us every single day. And we have this mostly clear picture of where we're going, each of us individually and together. And that changes as we grow. And I think what's beautiful is we allow it to change. We are flexible and trusting enough that we know where we're headed generally, but when something better comes along, which it always does,
yes,
then that's what keeps us going. And so we show up in the hard moments, and we do the things that we don't want to do, or, work on that skill that we're, haven't quite mastered over and over and over again, because we know where we're headed. And knowing where we're headed, I think that was probably the toughest part. How did you find your dream, your purpose, your vision, Bri?
I think I'm always finding it. I think I haven't found it. I think that's the one thing that I disagree with Google and its definition of purpose is that it's an end or a goal. To me, that goes with this idea that, once you make X amount of money, you'll be happy. Once you get this career, you'll be happy. Once you get this house, you'll be happy. And it's like, when you realize that it's actually the process and the road and the experiences along the way with you striving for that goal, that's purpose. Like those little moments are what makes you happy. Those little moments are what your why is, right? Why is that your goal? That's the purpose. And so if you're, I would say for me, I took the time to take the reins of my life. I think so often it's really easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the world, especially with technology and all the different resources and just go, 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 go. And oftentimes when we're go, 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 we're not able to ask ourselves why we're going and where we're going. And so like you said, knowing where we're going takes, and whether it's fair or easy is irrelevant. I think it's taking the time and knowing that about the world, knowing how you're influenced by the world and responding in a way that sets you up for success to feel more purposeful, which for me was taking the time to write out what I want to be, who I want to be, thinking about the people in my life that inspire me and why they inspire me and what attributes and characteristics they have and how I can embody those too and serve the world through that same embodiment and love and energy. And so I don't know, that's how I am always searching for my purpose.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Yeah. All the advice from the gurus out there, including Robin Sharma, talks about dreaming and getting your vision onto paper and turning that vision into goals, which is goal setting 101 and maybe common sense, but isn't common practice or we all be doing it.
Absolutely. Well, and eliminating, I also think eliminating any lack of belief in yourself. I mean, I think for me too, when I think of following your dream or living a purposeful life, it's believing that that is possible for me. And just that in and of itself, which to me is a huge part of purpose, is what's pulling me, right? That is what pulls me through life, is believing that anything is possible. Like, I really believe that. Anything that is something that I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Well, let's do it. And then figuring out why I don't think that's possible, eliminating those blocks, and then going for it, taking it step by step. And then, I mean, that's how it's like a cycle. And I think unwavering belief in yourself is also huge, because that makes you understand that things are possible and you can do anything.
100%. Yeah. And that comes for some people more naturally than others,
Yes.
Depending on their life. And the example that I have, or the story that I think relates to that, is the iterations I went through when I was becoming a podcaster, or that kind of creator, that kind of artist. I had that desire for a long, long time, wanted to share messages. And I sat on a microphone for a year, and I knew that I could, but also knew that there was a lot in the way of like figuring it out and, finding my voice and knowing what to say. And there was just a lot to work through. And especially, as a modern woman, got a whole host of things going on. For me, yes. I was commuting to a job that I worked a ton at, mother of 3, a spouse. I mean, we weren't married yet at the time, but, trying to make that keep that relationship going with everything else, and like still put face masks on my face from time to time. Right. I mean, I don't know, but anyway,
Healthcare.
What I'm saying, like, I would spend every night, like trying to figure just part of one thing out. And if I would have approached it like I approach things now, which is like, okay, I have a vision, like have goals and timelines and get all organized, that's a beautiful way to do things and attack any project. But what I did was I would just like tinker and experiment and try things. And when I definitely found things that I didn't like, I found things that didn't work, I found things that I wasn't good at. And I had this vision in my head of like, being a person who shares my message.
Mm.
And I wanted to have a podcast, and some of it was specific. I knew I wanted to have an audience, but what was the purpose behind that? And so defining that along the way is what kept me coming back to like this like tinkering phase, which actually, and sometimes was fun and I would get lost in it. And sometimes it was like not fun. And so that's when I would be learning new things and getting better at the things that I'm not good at, which leads you into your purpose, because not everything that you do is you're going to be naturally great at it, but it still lends you to fulfilling your purpose and becoming who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's my story about learning.
I love it.
Purpose driving me.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you feel like your definition, like what, if you had to define purpose, what would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the application of your gifts over time.
I love that.
Because we all have different gifts.
Yeah.
And purpose is absolutely about finding who we are in self-discovery and then sharing those with the world. I think it was Aristotle was attributed with this quote, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
If that is not the truth.
Right.
I love that quote so much.
Right. And so I think knowing yourself and then going beyond that, using it to benefit others, and going beyond that, trusting that everyone else has their own purpose. So like trusting that sometimes when people are coming in to help you or assist you or aid you, as they always will and do, that's purpose. And you allowing that is also part of purpose, and allowing them to, move through what their gifts are and talents are, which I think a lot of modern women also struggle with, is getting the help and allowing the help and knowing that other people's strengths are different than yours. I mean, it's taken me a long time to accept help for real.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's exactly one of the reasons why we created the Modern Woman community, is because we understand that it has been a lifelong search. It has been hard to ask for help. It has been hard to feel that sometimes because we've had to do so many things on our own. And so it's unlearning that like, we don't have to do that, even though we were pushed into that in our lives and in our story and experiences. It's like, we're not meant to do it alone. And when we found each other, I think that's why we were like, I found you. And you're like, I found you. And we're like, we need to find others. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of this community too.
I agree. Oh my goodness. And I love meeting Soul Fam. And I love that now the internets are so advanced and we don't have to all be in the same place, because
exactly
all of my Soul Fam likes to move. No, I'm just kidding. No. I'm just joking around. But seriously, I mean, some of my very closest soul friends and supporters in life are in different places of the globe, which is great. And most of them are.
Yeah. I feel like it makes the relationships even more just deep and fulfilling. Yeah, for sure. And I also love, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started studying human design in the first place, is because I wanted to know my family and friends better. I actually used it as an experiment in my family first, before I ever worked in career or any of that. I was like, I want to see how this impacts my family. Yeah.
And so I still go and I look at like your info, like every day. We're like having a conversation. I'm like, hold on, I need to check your human design chart. Oh, I'm going to check your astrology chart next. 1 second. And then you're just like, you go with it. Thank you. But I use those tools as like purpose tools and reminder tools, and they allow me to understand where you're headed so that I can best support you. And I'm really, really thankful for those tools.
Well, and I'm so thankful for you to even take that time to do that, because something that I feel like I've really appreciated about our relationship is that I am uniquely my own. I've always felt that way. That's part of my human design, right? It's part of me feeling like I am one in a million. And although we are connected in so many ways, and there are so many ways that I feel similar to others as well, by you saying, oh, you're feeling that way, it's probably because da 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 da. It just makes me feel like, yeah, it is. And rather than it just being like, it's kind of like when you share a big experience in your life, like, oh, I just lost X, Y, and Z. And the person's like, oh, I lost my grandma too last week. It's like, that's one of the worst things that you can say in a response to make someone feel heard. And I love how heard and seen I feel by you, because it's not, you just respond in a way of truly knowing me, and how, like you said, the world has, trusting that the world has their own purpose. And I think that also makes, relationships so much more genuine and soul fulfilling, is that we're all uniquely our own, and we all bring to the table so many amazing natural gifts. And it's about embracing that uniqueness too, and loving that about each other.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that it ties in, that's such a key part of the purpose conversation, because again, purpose pulls, vision pulls. And so when maybe you're having a down day and you're like, well, all of a sudden everything's cloudy and I don't necessarily know the direction. I'm not saying you do that, but that happens a lot in relationships. And somebody else like me can come in, and I'm not saying I'm trying to like rescue you or anything like that, but a little reminder, like, remember, this is how much of a badass you are. And this is why, not bypassing anything you're experiencing ever or what you're feeling.
No,
but
reminding me of my power.
Remember the map. This is the map. And I have to do that for myself all the time. I like get in, my human design app. I love it. I refer to it all the time. And even though I've studied my design over and over and over again, that life theme aspect, I have to reread all the time, because I'm like, wait, what do I do again? Oh yeah. This is why I'm here. Oh yeah. Because sometimes we overcomplicate things and forget.
Yeah. We just forget. And 9 times out of 10, I feel like we're both really good at self-coaching ourselves and bringing us back. But it is really nice to not have to always depend on yourself to have to do that.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that's why, that's the community that we're building here too, is support and growing together and, empowering each other by embracing our gifts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not meant to do it alone. Even my husband now has like a script, which I'm not even offended by. I'm like, thank you. When I'm having a day or whatever, he'll like either send me, yes, we work and live in the same house and send each other text messages. Thank you. He'll like send me, the things that remind me, or he'll like say little things. Not because I've told him. Mm-hmm. that's how I am. And that's what I like. And, I don't know, it works, and I'm really thankful for it, but it's not 100% of the time. It's fine.
I love it.
It's fine. But yeah, I think, purpose, all of this, relationships, self-coaching, self-wisdom, putting intention behind things that we do. Purpose is there's a whole life of experimentation behind purpose, and every person is trying to define it for others and for themselves. And it really starts, I think, with dreaming, visualizing, and taking actual steps toward what that vision is, using the gifts that you have and honing in on the things that you still need to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say, if you are, like I said earlier, if you are searching for your purpose, it starts with knowing yourself and grows from there. And I would say, if you're asking, how to feel purposeful, start asking yourself why you do the things that you do, and give yourself time to reflect on that, on your answers.
I love that.
Yeah. You're not alone. We love you so much. Thank you so much for an incredible season 2, and keep being different.